Hello and welcome to another behind the scenes. What I wanted to do was have a look at Retro Synth. So from Logic's menu here for instruments, we can choose Retro Synth. And this is really good for making your own sounds, but I thought I'd try and break it down to a quick tip for next week. Because I sort of play with it rather than systematically go through it. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to have a think, what are the key things that I would do when making up my own sound. So let's have a look. Don't forget, if this is your sort of thing, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. So when it loads up, we get that. And the main thing that controls the sound sort of is this oscillator, and there are different ways you can use it. So we have analog, sync, table and FM modulators. They're all slightly different, but let's just stick with the analog one to start with, because this is, you might argue, the more back to basics shape of sounds that you can get. So initially they're both, first thing to say, there's a mix between oscillator 1 and oscillator 2, and you can merge these two sounds together. So you can have all of oscillator 1, all of oscillator 2. At the moment they're both set on sawtooth, so it makes very little difference. You've got white noise and you've got square wave with different shapes. So that's a fully symmetric one, and moving the shape around. Oscillator 2, slightly different. We don't have the white noise, so you can only get white noise on oscillator 1. Here you've got the option of a triangle wave, saw, and again square wave with the same options. So this is where you might say, actually I do need some fuzz in it, so we'll have that on white noise, and we'll have in fact, something to note to start with is in the settings options, you've got various ways to control the different parameters via mod wheel, aftertouch, velocity. But over here, we can transpose, tune and bend, but two of the key ones are polyphony. So if you need notes to be cutting off as you play more notes, you need to lower this number. So that's one thing to remember. Stereo spread by default is at 1, but you may want to get rid of that while you're starting. And also we've got unison at the moment. If we turn that off, you only get the one note. So while you're shaping a sound, this is probably a better way to do it. So no detune, spread or unison. Okay, let's go back to the oscillators. Now, if you want a more tuneful sound, you may want to not have white noise. The shape, as you can see here, it's either depending on the LFO or the filter envelope. So it's one of these two will affect the sound. Notice that this button here, if I turn it to LFO, that is being controlled by the mod wheel. So if I have it up here, I can move the mod wheel to alter the amount of LFO. If I don't want the wheel to have any effect, I can move it down there. Also, while we're here, you can sync it to, at the moment you can see it's got a rate which you can alter. But if we turn it on to sync, the BPM is 100 BPM at the moment. If I turn that on, now you see the rate can go by divisions of the beat. So we can have eighth note. As you would normally expect. So that's probably a bit more useful if you are trying to create some sort of percussive or rhythmic part to go with your track. You've also got the different shapes. And we've also got a vibrato section. Again, it's being affected by the wheel. If I turn it off, there is no effect from the wheel, so that is full vibrato. And I've got the mod wheel set to 0 at the moment, so that is having less effect depending on where you put it. Okay, now the filter envelope is related to the filter up here. So we've got FM filtering, and we can go from static to the envelope. And here you can change either by dragging that, or you can actually drag the numbers. So if you're going for a bass sound, obviously you want to be putting that low pass on and increase the resonance if you like. And again, if I slow down the attack, you get that build up to the filter now. Okay. We've got different envelopes. And also there's different settings here for the actual filter itself. So whether this is on or off. So you can get different effects there. Let's leave it there. Also notice that there is a sine level. So this is generating a sine wave with oscillator 1. If I turn that up, you'll hear the sine wave coming in. If I go to oscillator 2, it is still there, isn't it? Yeah. So the sine wave is independent, but it underpins the note you're playing as an actual sine wave. So that's great if you're trying to do a bass, you know, really sort of thumpy bass. You want to be popping that sine wave in. You've also got effects over here. So we've got a flanger and a chorus with the usual. We can also change the glide or auto bend. depending on whether you need that effect. Okay, so now we're building up a lot more of the sound. This is where you may want to drop down the polyphony, so you've got less notes that can sound at the same time. So you notice as I play the different notes now, so I've got 3, it will start cutting off the first notes that were played. So that's useful if you need to stop a build up of sound. Of course, if you are playing 4-note chords, you definitely want it on 4 or above. I'll just leave that on 16 for now. I think that probably covers most of it. For the quick tips, I think I'm going to have to go through fairly quickly these settings. Is it worth looking at the other? Because these settings are going to remain, but there are different effects you'll get from them. Or is it easier to stick to analog? There is loads of fun to be had, and for something that's built into Logic, if you have a play around with this and get a feel for what combinations do what, in fact that's probably worth doing, is for the quick tips actually showing some setups that mimic certain sounds, like a brass or a bass. That's going to be worth doing, isn't it? So if I was doing a bass sound, I'd probably have that off. Turn that off. So even there, you can see that once you've set up your different envelopes, just changing the mix between oscillator 1 and 2. Can have quite a big effect. That's quite nice. Then if you were going for a more brass maybe we would do maybe add in the chorus, less sine. Loads of fun you can have with it. So I'm going to break that down to a quick tip video for next week. I hope you found that interesting. It is an interesting instrument to play around with. Like and subscribe, always appreciated. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.